Just 2 months ago, here was America's economy. And what does it look like today? Trump is a lot of things, all predictable. From his romance with Epstein to his attack on LGBT to his Herculean volume of lies and bullshit. But no one saw this coming.
If you invested money on the day he was inaugurated, you invested, let's say, $100 in the NASDAQ, in the stocks that make up the NASDAQ across the board on his inauguration day, you've already lost 12% of your money in the 7 weeks since then. And that's just not what Trump promised.
When Donald Trump won November's election, financial markets seemed almost as pleased as his supporters. Anticipating a Wall Street-friendly administration, a Trump bump sent the S&P 500 up 2.5% after polling day, a rally that continued right through to mid-February in a peak of 6.3% higher. But since then, uncertainty about his economic plans, specifically the cost of those tariffs, have caused a Trump slump, with all the gains since Election Day handed back. Now, that slump has accelerated in this last week of unpredictability. On Monday, Trump confirmed that tariffs against China, Mexico and Canada would be implemented. The market fell. On Tuesday, the tariffs began. Trump warned of a little disturbance in his address to Congress. But on Wednesday, he paused the tariffs after the car industry lobbied him to hold back. But a day later, facing threats of retaliation, he paused the levies on Canada and Mexico entirely for a month. All bumps in the road, but in the same direction, down. And that's because the tariffs are costly and disruptive and aimed at America's three biggest trading partners.
As of this morning, while judges are demanding Trump halt his Doge firings, Trump is actively killing his golden goose. That is his rich white base of Americans, oligarchs and hedge fund bros. But the question is, why is Trump purposely fucking with the economy?
Absolutely, Vaughn's got it all right. Of course, what is striking is not only the incoherence of the messaging. On the one hand, the president says we might have a recession. On the other hand, his Commerce Secretary says no chance. One of them is going to be wrong. You have this sort of disjointed policy where trading partners and businesses don't know which way is up and which way is down. We have the tariffs on one day, we take them off the next day, we put them on this product, but not on that product. We're going to make an exemption. We'll have a 1 month pause. Very hard for businesses to do. Business, to make plans. That's what business likes. It likes predictability. And for Trump, who made the stock market a major metric of his success as he saw it in his first term, this is a remarkable turnaround. In fact, Trump promised a strong economy. He promised the greatest economy ever. And it's not clear that this transition is to something better necessarily, because as Vaughn said, it's not clear that the tariffs on our biggest trading partners of Canada and Mexico are really about economics at all. It's about fentanyl. It's about border crossings. So he's using them as a weapon in all sorts of different policy disputes. But the economy right now is on the edge as a result.
Okay, so now, where is America's economy? Well, after Trump's bizarre embrace of tariffs, his turncoat on NATO and our Western allies, and their customers as well, his attack on hundreds of thousands of federal employees, it seems clear that if Trump doesn't reverse direction, the U.S. will fall into a recession. But not a normal recession. Trump's attack on the EU, Mexico, China, and Canada, for reasons unknown, will leave the U.S. with no friends among our trading partners.
Donald Trump chose steel as his tariff war battleground with Europe. The European Union quickly returned fire.
As the United States are applying tariffs worth $28 billion, we are responding with countermeasures worth 26 billion euros.
The first EU leader to visit Washington since the steel tariffs were announced was Ireland's Prime Minister. These St. Patrick's Day trips to the US have tended to be something of a love-in. But President Trump wasn't softening his message to Europe.
Will you put more tariffs on the EU? Will you respond to their retaliation?
Of course I'm going to respond.
You will retaliate.
The problem
with more
is
tariffs.
our country didn't respond. Look, the EU was set up in order to take advantage of the United States.
Including Ireland? Is Ireland taking advantage of the US?
Of course they are.
And it's not like there was any love before this.
Will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bill.
But now, as the U.S. faces a recession of our own making, while Canadians boo our national anthem,
oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed.
The question is, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? I know, there's not enough time to dive that deep, but why is Trump purposely torpedoing the economy and, most importantly, his beloved stock market?
He said the stock market will boom if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
But here's the most salient point. Trump is hurting not just poor Americans, but his rich bras as well. But let's start with the poor. Walmart's CEO says budget-pressured customers are showing stress behaviors. I love it when they talk like that. Budget-pressured? That's like wanting to call someone an a-hole and instead saying, you're a dirty orifice. Anyway, Walmart is seeing their people buy less at the end of the month because they're running out of money. And McDonald's, America's barometer of how f***ed up our country really is, says in its most recent earnings that the fast food industry has had a sluggish start to the year, in part because of weak demand from low-income customers, which is a mixed message. On the downside, you can't afford McDonald's. On the positive side, you can't afford McDonald's. And as far as fast food across the country, sales to low-income Americans are down by double digits. Dollar General says its customers report only having enough money for basic essentials. Some are having to sacrifice even on necessities. And oh yeah, this is big. Dollar stores rely heavily on food stamp benefits, which could be on the table for budget cuts. The period following the pandemic was dubbed by some as a rich session because higher earners' wage growth lagged behind those of blue-collar folks. But poorer household gains have since been wiped out. Starting back in 2023 with the Republican Congress, COVID-era increases to food stamp benefits were rolled back. And by late 2024, wage growth for the lowest-income Americans started trailing those of richer Americans. And after several years of inflation, particularly on necessities such as groceries, rents, and utility bills, poor Americans are now really strapped.
I wonder, from your reporting in this White House, is there somebody within Donald Trump's sphere of influence that is telling him this and advising him to be more surgical and just not getting anywhere with him? What is the dynamic?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to it, but you see a different crew of people this time around than last time around. Last time around, you had people like Gary Cohn in there and so forth who were cautioning against radical shifts in policy like this that seem less than strategic and less than thoughtful.
But here's what makes no sense. The strong stock market, buoyed by artificial intelligence hype, kept wealthier folks spending. Until now. Middle class and upper middle class are pulling back on things like air travel. For example, Delta, American, and JetBlue all cut their first quarter projections earlier in the week. Citibank's analysis of its U.S. credit card data shows that spending has fallen across almost every retail category. Spending plunged 12% and 22% on apparel and athletic footwear, and Target, Foot Locker, and Lowe's have all reported seeing weak demand. So here we are, and a recession is looming, and the only way out is like trying to cram Trump's fat ass into a pair of skinny pants. But why is Trump causing all this? Well, that's the wrong question. Here's the answer, though. Trump has no fucking idea what he's doing. He thought the world would react to his actions the way his little sycophants at Fox News and his hillbilly base in Hicksville, USA do. But it turns out the rest of the world, they share the hate and animosity that the majority of Americans now have for Trump. And they're not backing down. In fact, they're stepping up.
Crazy! Damn right.
Disgusting.
Bloated and fat and disgusting.
Oh, I like that.
You're a nasty person.
I'm as mad as hell.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong? Yes! Tick-tock!
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.